morning's here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the morning show, afternoon edition. I'm Kyle. I'm the executive editorial director.
Doobie.
It's what? Still morning for Doobie? I guess. Is it? He's 2 hours behind Pacific or 3? I mean, either way.
Yeah.
It's borderline.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, we're going to try a new feature for a second. Let's see how this looks. Does this mean I still have to add them? I don't. It did not work. But hi Gio, hi Genie plus plus. Nice to see you. Maybe future ones will come up.
Okay.
I'm just going to leave it on for a second. Anyway, we are here. We're not going to go through a bunch of Disney news. We'll talk a little bit about Disney, but Benjamin has spent his morning at Epic Universe as they are preparing for their grand opening in just 2 days' time. So what they were doing was going portal by portal and doing a little song and dance about it, and then you got to explore those. So you got to go to the Isle of Berk and Nintendo this morning. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the Isle of Berk has been, at least so far, your favorite area of the park. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so.
So tell me a little bit about your morning overall.
Yeah, so we're doing 2 days. 2 portals today with Celestial Park as your lunch, and 2 portals tomorrow with Celestial Park as your lunch. And so we did, as you said, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Super Nintendo World. Somehow facing the sun both times. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but it's hot here. No clouds.
In Florida? In May?
Yeah. It's
weird.
It's pretty sticky. But yeah, so, we went here a couple weeks ago for another preview. So we've experienced all the attractions. I haven't done a single attraction today, but they would have interview opportunities. As you said, they had these portal opening moments for the first 2, presumably they'll have them for the second 2 tomorrow. But yeah, so just talking to Universal folks, it's funny because obviously I do most of my work at Disney. Mike and Jeremiah do great stuff with Universal, but so it's I don't know anyone here. But so it's been fun. Yeah, that's the Nintendo World. This Celestial shows up and kind of
that's not. I guess they have the rights to Marvel, so they can use Celestial over there.
So it kind of says a magic spell or whatever, like a poem, and then the characters from the land pop up. Isle of Berk has humans as well as dragons, but they talk like face characters, so they kind of said something. Whereas Mario is a little bit more rubberhead dance. I didn't realize Donkey Kong was new, so I met him, but didn't realize he was new. Not met him. I saw him in this moment here that you're about to see. But yeah, a lot of confetti, a lot of smoke. And I hope you like this video because I spent 2 hours in blazing sun standing in a spot so I could get this.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. I'm a little disappointed. If I'm gonna have a Mario segment, I need Mario. I know this is a tube that he's coming out of the portal, but you really need a vertical pipe for him to come out of. If it was good enough for whoever the Prime Minister of Japan was at the time for the 2020 Olympics.
Yeah, it was funny because we're staring at these escalators here, and you can't see in this video, but one of them is I was, as I said, I was here for 2 hours. One of them is going noticeably slower than the other one, and so it's I started playing math games in my head, trying to figure out the ratio, because I was there for quite some time. But as you can see, here's the smoke.
Yeah, no, Shigeto Miyamoto. And see, look, Gio's comments are coming up on the side of the screen. What technology is this? That's a pretty good freeze frame.
Yeah, except it's not a freeze frame. It just was freeze. They froze. Yeah, and they started dancing. So yeah, so there's Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Donkey Kong. And they kind of do this bit. And then we wait for them. We wait for an incredible amount of confetti. And we then they kind of waved off to the side. I wasn't sure something was going to happen. So I panned over and then nothing happened because they were just waving at everybody. It was nice of them.
Where's Diddy Kong? Is he on trial?
Yeah. So I got my power up band and they're like, "You're on Team Diddy." I'm like, I don't know if I want to be on Team Diddy.
No. We'll take a look at the Burke one as well in just a second here.
Yeah, there's the confetti. So much. I wasn't sure if I was going to read because I couldn't see my screen. The sun was too bright, so I couldn't see what I was filming. I was just guessing. So I'm glad to see I was able to capture it somewhat easily.
Yeah, does not look bad. But yeah, the Isle of Burke one, like you said, had the. Oh, we also have all the interviews and stuff on here that you can check out. I'll put this link in the comments here. Tony's going to be adding to it each day as we get more of these portal shows and stuff like that. That's what I'm calling them, portal shows. Oh, this one's got. Let me turn that off, and then I will share my screen again. There we go. I wanted to try to Photoshop this so it said, "We, my friends, have a Hulk," and then put the Hulk in the portal. But that seemed like it was going to take too much of my time, so I gave up on that project. There's the Celestial again. Doing magic. This one I know has a lot more smoke or steam or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, a little inside LP. They were not satisfied with the amount of smoke. Like they were testing it, and just whatever they did just wasn't working the way they wanted to in Nintendo. So, but it's fine.
So which I was asking you before you went, I said you got to get an update on the typo on one of the portals. Which portal is that?
I don't know. Which not either of these two.
Right.
None of them have I'm trying to remember which
something about a comet. So maybe it's somewhere.
Oh, that might be the entry one.
Okay.
So which I don't know if I'll get a chance to see. Yeah, Celestial Park.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's been fixed yet, but yeah, you'll catch a comet in its flight.
I will also tease that we'll have our ranked of all the attractions in Epic Universe ready for grand opening day. 4 of our team members have been able to visit so far, so we'll be using their rankings at least. So because of how these previews have gone, not everyone who went had a chance to ride everything, so different measurements, but I think we figured out a way to make it work.
Yeah, if you want to know the downtime status of, so everything was running in Isle of Burke except the show. The show was having technical difficulties, and then
and that's not Timothy Chalamet, I'm told.
Then at Super Nintendo World, the coaster, the Donkey Kong coaster, whose official name, Minecart Madness, if I'm not mistaken, was down, but it came back up. But that's been the status of experiences.
Very nice. So yeah, fun times. So you have nothing else today, and then tomorrow you just have what, Dark Universe and Potter?
Yeah, so tonight they're having a dinner at Volcano Bay, but none of the attractions are going to be opening. So not quite sure why we're going, but whatever. And then
you can not use Tapu Tapu.
And then tomorrow night this is the grand opening thing. I think they're live streaming that, but we'll obviously have our own coverage of it. So
very cool. Well, do you want to hit on some Disney stuff while you're here?
I need some Disney right now.
All right. Sure. Well, first I want to. I'm not going to play the music for it, but there's no dialogue to worry about. So, but we got a new teaser trailer for Zootopia 2. We knew this was coming when they announced it yesterday, and it's definitely a teaser, a weird thing. So Benji, just to imagine that there is music happening that these Kraftwerk hamsters are creating, and then I'm going to take off our experimental comments there, but that's good to know we can do that.
That is a weird trailer.
Yeah,
the original Zootopia trailer was also weird. Remember they were explaining. It was like they were explaining that they were talking animals. Like it was very.
I remember the Frozen one was weird, and we got sued over it. It was like an animation test that they released.
They were testing, I believe, not having Olaf's arms bend because that was a big thing. except in summer he could do it because it's a fantasy. So, huh.
But yeah, this is like the introduction to a television show or like a music video is mostly what it is, because there's no dialogue. There's just the music that's happening. And then there's like, yeah, this flash of these characters. That's basically it.
Eh.
That led me to believe that it was not coming out in November 2025. I was expecting it to get delayed. It still could, but very interesting little look at that. And we got a new.
Well, people complain they show everything in the trailers, and obviously
There you go. New image as well as a new poster, which I'm not going to hit the breaking news for. So yeah, that's Zootopia 2. Let's see what else is going on in the world of Disney today. Conan O'Brien is joining Toy Story 5. He's going to play Smarty Pants, and in his video, he did not mention that he went to Harvard, but I was fully expecting him to. Have you seen? Did you watch his video?
No, I didn't.
Okay, it's unhinged. Let's watch together. We can watch it with sound.
Hey, Conan O'Brien here. I've got big news. I'm going to be in Toy Story 5. Isn't that crazy? Legendary franchise. These films are amazing. I can't believe this. Initially, I wanted the role of Woody, and they told me that they already promised that to Tom Hanks. And I was like, you kind of been there, done that. You know, you're in a bit of a rut, don't you think? And they said, no, it's Tom Hanks's, it's his role. So I said, okay, how about Buzz Lightyear? And they were like, and I said, let me guess, Tim Allen. They're like, yeah, Tim Allen. And I went, guys, you got to think outside the box. But anyway, then they showed me this new character, Smarty Pants. It's the best character of them all. I far prefer this character. I don't even want to play Woody or Buzz anymore, even if they beg me. I'm Smarty Pants. I love this. Toy Story 5. It's coming out. When's it coming out?
June 19th, 2026.
June 19th, 2026. I can't wait that long. I can wait, but it's going to be good. Yeah. My hair looks insane.
Okay.
Yep, that's the whole thing.
That's weird. You know, he's so unhinged. They may replace him with like another Pixar actor, like maybe the guy who voiced Jay Leno in Cars.
It could be, yeah. Oh, can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
I was writing about the F1 thing, which we'll get to in a second, and in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, there's another. Didn't Sacha Baron Cohen play in F1 in Cars? And I'm like looking it up, and then realized I was confusing Cars with Talladega Nights. That was a real thing that happened to me last night. But anyway, speaking of F1, Disney has announced a partnership with Formula One that'll bring Mickey and friends to the world of racing, which, as I noted, Mickey's no stranger to the world of racing. He had a show called Mickey and the Roadster Racers. But this is going to kick off next year. We don't have a ton of details. They said that it'll include experiences, merchandise, of course, and what else was it? What was the third thing? Merchandise, content. So yes, experiences, content, and they gave this little thing. Just a car spinning around, and then it shows the Mickey Mouse and the tire tracks. So yeah, very interesting random announcement that they made fairly late last night while I was sitting downstairs hoping that my weather did not deteriorate. Any thoughts on Formula One and Disney and what that's going to mean? You could tell that this photo is in Vegas, so there's that.
Yeah, well, the reason it happened when it did is Vegas is currently hosting the licensing expo over at Mandalay Bay. So usually Disney does something. Last year, Josh spoke, I believe. So that's why that all happened as it did.
Well, that's a great segue, Benjamin, because yesterday you published a piece called "Why I Believe Josh D'Amaro is Best Equipped to Be the Next CEO or Disney's Next CEO." Would you like to give us the abridged version of your thesis?
I do, but I'm trying to find a way of making it seem nice to everyone else.
You
Yeah,
can just talk up his positives. You don't have to put.
well, relatively speaking, no. He did this great presentation to MoffettNathanson, which is an investor event, but he was able to still make it palatable to consumers who were watching, Disney fans, namely. And if you look back, remember when Bob Chapek talked about unfavorable guest mix, and Christy McCarthy talked about people's waistlines. He was able to avoid those pitfalls, even though those things are not necessarily untrue. But they're not something you necessarily want to have front and center when to your valued guests. But he was able to walk that line expertly, which I think is the hardest part about being the Disney CEO, is obviously having your fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders, but also making sure that people, your guests, your consumers, or your whatevers want feel valued. And I think as Disney fans, we typically follow the belief that if you make great stuff, business results will follow. And I think that's basically what Josh said, which isn't all, being less worried about, some of the reactive to Wall Street things that have kind of screwed up Disney in the past. Remember, let's put everything on streaming. Well, we saw how that worked. And it didn't. Anyone with half a brain could have told you that, but they listened to Rich Greenfield or whatever and made a mistake. So, I not that, and I don't want to make it seem like Josh is perfect or Josh, there's not things I would change about Josh. I mean, I'm at Universal right now and I'm looking at how they never stopped their treadmill of projects, whereas Disney definitely did, and we're paying the sort of fine for that by not having anything new opening this year and presumably next year. So it's
We get Goofy Core. I don't know.
Goofy Core, which just sounds like something you shouldn't Google.
I didn't say she was crazy.
Wow, if you get that, you shouldn't be watching this. So I think that's really what Disney is not like another company where the CEO is kind of just the CEO. Maybe there's a creative head. I just don't know. I mean, can you tell me who the head of Paramount is?
Not anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, we've heard of David Zaslav, but we probably couldn't pick him out from a lineup, and I don't even know who's in charge of NBC Universal, to be perfectly honest. But Disney is this cultural phenomenon that just makes the CEO that, partly thanks to Walt, partly thanks to Michael Eisner hosting the Sunday serial show, it's a public figure, and you need to be able to be that public figure while also making business decisions. And those two things often don't overlap. There's plenty of people who are very slick and very smooth who made dumb decisions that I've known in Disney's history. And there's been people who make great decisions, but just aren't great public speakers. And to find you got to have both in that particular job. And it's hard to find. And that's why, that's ultimately what you need to be based on. You can teach someone, you can teach someone how to run a studio. You can teach someone how to run parks, but being able to navigate those waters with nuance is very difficult.
Well, you can read about Benji's thoughts on why he thinks Josh is probably the best pick for the next CEO over on Laughing Place, or you can listen to it on the latest episode of the Laughing Place on Balance podcast. And as a bonus, even better than listening to Benji talk about that, is we had a very special guest, Joe Lancicero, who worked at Disney Animation, Disney Imagineering, and is now the author of a new kids book. So you can listen to our 45-minute, I think, conversation with Joe. Very interesting. He's worked on a ton of projects you've seen and a ton of projects that didn't come to be, but you've heard about because of how legendary they are. So be sure to listen to that. Something else I wanted to talk about is actually, do you want to do some This Day in Disney History?
Sure.
Let me hit the button for that because that's important. There. All right. First up, on this day in 1960, an actor was born. He is known for voicing the title character in a 90s Disney film, and he is also on an ABC show for many years called Scandal.
Excuse me. Tony Goldwyn.
Tony Goldwyn. Yeah, he voiced Tarzan, and then he was the president on Scandal. On this day in 1973, I'm just going to tell you this one because it's a little difficult. Disney World's Tom Sawyer Island, the Tom Sawyer Rafts, the Plaza Swan Boats, and the Richard F. Irvine, the Walt Disney World's second Liberty Bell riverboat, all opened at Magic Kingdom. Fun facts.
That's impressive. That was kind of late.
On this day in 1994, a Disney direct-to-video sequel was released.
94?
Yeah.
Then it's got to be Return of Jafar.
Return of Jafar with the Homer as the genie instead of Robin Williams.
And
yes. On this day in 1996, something opened at Walt Disney World that was not in one of the theme parks.
Sorry, what year?
1996.
Not one of the theme parks. It's not. It's a 96. So Fantasia Gardens.
Yes, I was going to say we talked about it with Joe a little bit. Fantasia
Yeah.
Gardens. Let's see what else we got here. Sometimes you're like, "Ooh, that's big news," and then you're like, "Oh, it was really, it was nominated for something." It's not as exciting.
I believe it also was the. No, I don't know. I'm trying to think what happened on May 20th.
On this
it's
day,
National Streaming Day.
what?
Used to be a thing. Remember National Streaming Day?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now
That's
every
it.
day is streaming day.
Yeah.
Will there be trivia tonight? I don't believe that there will be because Doobie is in Hawaii. And yes, good guess with Tate Donovan, by the way. I appreciate that. Return of Jafar was correct. On this day in 2005, The Wonderful World of Disney aired a new version of a classic story that we don't own.
A new version of a classic story that we don't own.
It starred Ashanti, Jeffrey Tambor, Quentin
Muppets Wizard of Oz.
Yes. Let's see.
Yeah, you had me at Ashanti.
Yeah, she's done so much. How would you know?
Speaking of, I mean, not to bring us down, but
Yeah. Norm.
Yeah, George Wendt. Norm Cheers not a Disney show, but he did some Disney work.
Yeah, they had the Cheers cast on some like Disney World specials and stuff.
Yeah, where you find out Woody Harrelson met his first girlfriend at the Haunted Mansion, and she was actually a ghost.
On this day in 2011, a movie opened.
2011.
Part of a franchise.
Is it a Pirates movie?
It is a Pirates movie.
Am I going to remember which one? Probably not.
It's the fourth one.
Is that Stranger Tides?
On Stranger Tides, yes. Let's see. I think that's about 2021. Today is National Streaming Day. So there you go. You were right.
Told you. That used to be a thing. Like we'd have to staff up for it. Now I barely remember it was a thing. It was like Disney Plus Day before Disney Plus Day.
And then again, Disney Plus Day when they moved it from the anniversary, and then they can't keep anything constant.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, Disney has made a concerted effort to not promote Disney Plus as a service, but the titles on the set service. So stuff like Disney Plus Day, National Streaming Day isn't really as important to them as marketing Lilo and Stitch or what have you.
And they've been doing a ton of that. There's so many different tie-ins from mangoes to donuts in the Philippines.
Laughing Places logo.
Yeah, that's coming in a few days. Once I need Doobie to come back so he can make it the logo.
How funny it would be if tomorrow night at Epic Universe's grand opening, like Stitch crashes it.
Yeah, on Disney Parks blog, they did a thing about Stitch being at Disneyland. Like they made a little social thing, and then there was a button for an alien invasion, but it wasn't just for that post. They did a post about the new rooms at French Quarter, and there was an alien invasion button where it would add these like little Stitch graphics and pineapples and stuff to each of the images in the article. So they're keeping up the bit, and I appreciate that. Anything else you want to tell us, Benjamin?
No, but we got a lot coming up. Cool Kid Summer launches next week, so hopefully it's cooler than it is at hot Epic Universe Summer.
Yeah, see, I always think it's funny that Japan has that whole promotion about how you get soaked and you cool down with extra water effects and stuff. And it's like, if of all the Disney parks in the world, like probably Anaheim, but then Tokyo is probably like the most temperate. So it's funny that it's like, no, Florida needs that. Of course, you're already soaked just walking around, but it'd be nice to have some cool water thrown on you instead of just feeling like you're walking through soup.
Yeah, Hong Kong is that parade that just gets you wet is very useful, actually.
Yeah, you'll stay wet the rest of the day because there's humidity won't let you dry. But yeah, it is funny. As humid as Florida is, Hong Kong can be worse, a lot worse. Well, thank you all for joining us for this afternoon edition of the Disney Morning Show. We do plan to be back with a normal morning show tomorrow with me and Tony. And then I believe Doobie should be back on Thursday, but we'll see about that. But yeah, any other final thoughts, Ben?
Nope.
Believe Brilliant Necessities is happening at 4 o'clock. So we'll see you then. And if not, then I'll see you real soon. Bye for now.